Hello everyone, this tutorial covers everything you need to know to develop for the Oculus Quest with Unreal Engine 4. Now, first off, this is a pretty straightforward process, and as long as you follow my directions, you will have a Quest-ready project by the end of this video. I'd also like to note that this is a PC-specific tutorial. I want to start off with the hardware you will need in order to build to the Quest. For starters, you're going to need an Oculus Quest and a USB-C cable. There is some speculation on the exact cable needed for a smooth connection to your PC, and many will say this process requires USB 3.0 cables such as the Quest Link, but I have found that the charging cable that comes with the Quest works just fine for building to the headset. Either way, you need to plug the USB-C cable into the corresponding port on your PC and then plug it into your headset. Now I would like to briefly touch on the software required for this process. For this tutorial, I will be using a launcher version of Unreal 4.24. I would recommend using at least 4.23 or later, because earlier versions don't have the option to specify that you are building to the Quest and just assume that you're building to the Oculus Go or Samsung Gear VR, which is a dead platform as far as I'm concerned. You can do this with the source engine build of Unreal. If you have no idea what the difference between a source build and a launcher build is, worry not. I will be covering how to obtain a source build of UE4 in my next tutorial. Now that we have both hardware and software out of the way, we can get our hands dirty and dive into the fun world of Oculus Quest development. Feel free to pause or rewind this video to complete the steps at your own pace. The first step is to create an Oculus developer organization. This step is essential to put the Quest into developer mode. To create an organization, we will need to navigate to the Oculus developer dashboard. I have included a link to this site below in the description. If for any reason the link doesn't work, just search Oculus developer. You can log in using your standard Oculus account. This site is full of useful documentation and tools to get you started in VR development, and I would strongly recommend going through all of it. But for this tutorial, locate the Manage tab on the left-hand side of the page, where it will allow you to create an Oculus developer organization. This doesn't need to be official by any capacity, and if you're an indie developer, just put your company name. For this tutorial, I will be creating a random name organization I picked using the Wu-Tang Clan rap name generator. Once we have successfully created an Oculus developer organization, we can move forward by putting the Oculus Quest into developer mode. Open the Oculus app on your phone and connect to the headset. From here we can navigate to the headset options and click on More Settings, then Developer Settings, and here we can turn on developer mode. In most cases, you will need to reboot your headset for the changes to take place. You can verify that developer mode is enabled by putting on your headset and going to the settings page. There we should see a tab called Developer. Inside that tab we can disable the Guardian system. Full disclosure, the Guardian system can be really annoying during development, but if you like having intact walls in your house, I would strongly recommend leaving the Guardian system enabled. Now navigate to your Library tab inside the headset. Here we can see that there is a new section beneath the Updates tab called Unknown Sources. This is where you will find all your builds when you package your project out of Unreal to the Quest. The next step is to download and install ADB Drivers for the Oculus Quest. This step is integral in the Oculus development pipeline out of Unreal. ADB stands for Android Debug Bridge, and it allows us to communicate with the headset via the command line. You can download the drivers using the link in the description. Just agree to the terms and download the zip file. Once the file is downloaded, go ahead and extract it. I would recommend extracting the files into your Documents folder in case you need to reinstall the drivers in the future. Installing the ADB drivers isn't exactly the most intuitive process, but we'll manage. Once the file is extracted, open it up and navigate to the .inf file. Go ahead and right-click on that and then scroll down to the option that says Install. This may take a few seconds, but it'll work. Once we have successfully installed the ADB drivers, we can install NVIDIA CodeWorks. This is by far the best way to set up the computer for Android development. The good news is that by default, Epic has included this inside your pre-existing Unreal Engine files. To install CodeWorks, navigate to where your current version of the Unreal Engine is located in your File Explorer. Open the folder. In my case, this is version 4.24, but for you it could be different. Inside the folder, click into the Engine, Extras, Android, Win64, and here you will find the CodeWorks application. If for some reason the application doesn't show up, I have included a link to download it in the description. When you have located the codework.exe, go ahead and open it. We will go through the installation process. I'm going to leave my file directory to default. I don't know what happens if you put it somewhere else, but you can try it if you want. Once you have the set file directory, go ahead and click Next. Here CodeWorks will install a bunch of tools necessary for Android development, and the standard installation will be fine for our purposes. Click Next and accept all the terms and the installation will begin. If you are doing this for the first time, it is going to take a while to fully install. Once the installation is complete, click Finish and you will need to restart your computer. After you have restarted your computer, we can navigate to the C drive. Here you will find a folder titled NVPack. This folder contains all the Android SDK, JDK, and NDK files required for Android development. Before we move on, we should verify that the ADB drivers and NVIDIA CodeWorks have installed correctly. To verify this, we can open up the command prompt and type ADB help, and it will bring up a list of functions that we can utilize for Android development. Now it's time to plug in the Oculus Quest. Once connected, you should see a prompt inside your headset asking you to allow USB debugging. Accept this prompt and then type ADB devices into the command prompt. Your device should show up. You're going to notice that the device won't have a special name. Fear not. Life's just disappointing like that. Now that we have set up all the required drivers for Quest development, we can open the Unreal Engine and get to the fun stuff. I am going to open up my version of Unreal and create a new project, utilizing the VR template. For target hardware, choose mobile/tablet, and then for our graphics target, turn on scalable 2D or 3D. Leave starter content off. Then make sure that you disable ray tracing. Sadly, the Oculus Quest is not even remotely powerful enough to support ray tracing. Configure your file directory and then name your project, then select Create Project. Once UE4 is open, the first thing we want to do is go into the Virtual Reality BP folder. Then the Map folder. Select and open the Motion Controller UMap. This is going to be the map that we will load into once we launch the application onto the Quest headset. But we will need to make a few tweaks to the project in order to make that possible. The first thing we are going to do is change our project settings. In the upper left-hand corner of the screen, select Edit, Project Settings. This is where the magic happens. Navigate to the Maps and Modes section. Here we want to set both the editor startup map and the game default map to the motion controller UMap. This is how we can make sure that our game launches into our preferred map. Once that is completed, navigate back to the motion controller UMap, and in the content browser select the startup map and the HMD locomotion map. Now we can delete them. We do this for optimization reasons. It's best to think of the Quest as a cell phone, so every megabyte inside your project needs to have a purpose. The last thing I would recommend doing is selecting the directional light inside the scene and changing it from stationary to static, and then doing the same thing for the skylight. In my experience, the Quest doesn't seem to appreciate stationary or movable lights, so employing a static lighting method will improve our frame rate. Now that we have optimized our scene, we can configure our project settings for Quest development. Go to the Project Settings tab, and the first thing to check is our input. Make sure that in the mobile section that the default touch interface is set to none. Then we want to navigate down to the Platform section and select Android. This section is the most important part of the pipeline. These settings ensure that Unreal will correctly package our project onto the Quest. You will notice a red bar at the top of the screen saying that the platform files are not writable. Go ahead and select Configure Now, then select Accept SDK License below it. After that, we can configure our Android package name. It is important that you stick to the designated com.yourcompany.project name formula. If you don't, the packaging process will fail. So for me, it is com.phantomobserverllc.qkquest. Then change both the minimum and target SDK versions to 25, and check the package game data inside APK box. This will come in handy for sharing your project in the future. Then scroll down slightly and check Enable Full Screen Immersive on KitKat and above devices. Now scroll down to Advanced APK Packaging and check the Remove Oculus Signature Files from Distribution APK. Then directly above that you will see Package Oculus for Mobile Devices with 0 array elements. Click the plus button and it will add a drop-down for specifically packaging to the Oculus Quest. You could also specify the APK to package for the Go or Gear VR, but like I said earlier, they are dead platforms. Last but not least, we want to scroll up to the top of the project settings and open supported platforms. Here we want to check the Android box. If you skip this step, you won't be able to package to your Quest. Now we are ready for our first test package. Go back into the main project tab and navigate to the Launch Options tab. Click the drop-down arrow and you should see your Quest available. If it doesn't show up, make sure it's connected using the command prompt trick I showed earlier. Go ahead and click on your headset and it will begin the packaging process. It will take a decent amount of time depending on your hardware, so go ahead and open the log to make sure that there are no errors during the packaging process. Once you reach the running stage, go ahead and put on your headset, but leave it connected to the computer. The first thing that you will notice is that the lighting is completely blown out, but that's an easy fix. More urgent is the frame rate situation, which we desperately need to improve. The easiest way to check our frame rate inside the headset is with a development tool called OVR Metrics. I have included a link to it in the description. This will show us our current frame rate inside the headset so we can figure out what needs to be changed in order to improve our frame rate. This is essential because lower frame rate increases the chances of user motion sickness. The installation of this tool is simple. Use the link in the description and download the OVR Metrics.zip. Once it is downloaded, extract it. Now open SideQuest. If you don't have SideQuest, relax. I have included a link in the description. Once the SideQuest application is downloaded and installed, open it. You will be greeted with a lovely welcome screen that we will promptly ignore. Navigate to the top of the application and click on the box with the downward arrow icon. Here we can select and install the OVR Metrics APK. If for any reason this fails, make sure you have the most recent version of SideQuest. In the past, the ADB server has caused the APK installation in SideQuest to fail, but that was patched with later releases of SideQuest. Now that we have installed the OVR metrics, put on your headset and navigate to the Unknown Sources section. There you will see the tool. Launch it and you will be greeted with a settings page for the tool. I wasn't able to record this inside my headset, but here's a screenshot. You want to check Enable Persistent Overlay. Once you have checked that box, relaunch your project from the Unknown Sources tab and you will see that the frame rate is hovering around 40 FPS, which is absolutely unacceptable. We can fix this with a few key project settings. The first thing I did was select my directional light and I changed the intensity to about 0.5. This will fix our blown out lighting issue. Now that we have taken care of that, we can dive back into the project settings and correct our frame rate. Jump back into the project settings tab and navigate to the rendering section. Locate the mobile section at the very top and disable mobile HDR. Then set the mobile MSAA to 4x MSAA. It is going to ask you to restart your engine, but we will wait for now. Once you have set the proper settings in the mobile section, scroll down to the reflection section and set the reflection capture resolution to something like 32. Then scroll down farther to the VR section. We want to disable instance stereo and then enable mobile multi-view and mobile multi-view direct. This wraps up all the things we needed to change inside of the rendering settings, and we can now scroll down inside the project settings to the plugin section. Here we will select the Oculus VR plugin. Navigate to the mobile section. We want to leave the CPU level on 2 and set the GPU level to 4. Then we want to set the FFR level to low. FFR stands for Fixed Foveated Rendering, and from my understanding, it takes the pixels on our periphery and renders them at a lesser quality. This will drastically improve our performance. Now navigate to the top and launch the Oculus Performance window. Set the target platform to mobile, and we are all set to restart the project. Once Unreal reopens, wait for the shaders to compile, and then we are ready to go for our second test build. In the same fashion, launch to your Quest headset. Now that we have implemented the proper project settings, you should notice that the frame rate is drastically improved. Here's the original. And this is what we have now. This concludes my beginner Quest setup tutorial, and I would like to thank all of you that made it this far. I understand that that was a lot of information all at once, but the most important thing to remember is that when developing for Quest, you need to focus on optimization. Develop a deeper understanding of the hardware and engine, and it will lead to better performance. Thank you so much for watching my video, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. Feel free to subscribe to my channel for tutorials, video essays, and other content centered around programming and game design.